Welcome back to the OnlyAccies channel. It's finished here, St Johnstone 0, Hamilton 0, and what maybe wasn't a great performance, but at the end of the day, it is a much needed point. Our first fan today is Colin. Colin, what did you make of that today?
Wasn't great to watch, but a point. I think we'd take a point at least before the match because going to Perth, we never have a great record there.
Yeah.
How many times have we been there and we've either been really, really bad or we've lost a late goal. So to get a point is a positive, but the way we're playing just now is just terrible. You need to watch. But the players I thought did put a shift in the day, and I think if they'd lost a goal towards the end, I think that would have finished some of them off. I think it was nail biting, but again, we had a couple of half chances. We'll certainly be Nathan Thomas in the first half.
Absolutely,
he just lifted that ball a wee bit above foot height and it was in. So it's good to know we've got somebody, if he gets a chance, that can finish it off. But as I say, it is a tough watch if you're an Accies fan just now. And as I say, a point is a point at Perth, and it's valuable,
Absolutely is, and obviously, like you said, it is hard to watch, and it is bypassing that midfield with long balls. And like you said, Nathan Thomas standing out today, I would say. Two good chances, I would say, in the match. That one, obviously, in the first minute or so, and the second one, really late on, he runs the whole length of the half, and then decides to shoot high and wide instead of passing.
I think he'd run out of puff.
Exactly, I think he had, mate. I think he'd
I genuinely think he'd run out of puff, and I think there was somebody in the middle. Was it Winter?
Andy Winter was in the middle.
It would have been a good pass to find him, but it might have been a sort of relative tap in if he'd managed to do it. But those are the only two chances I think we really had today, apart from some long range efforts. St Johnstone, I just thought they were bringing on Murray Davison and Craig Conway, and oh my God, I was thinking it's going to happen here. So with that in mind, a point is a good result. I thought Brian Easton today was absolutely tremendous, and I hope they only took him off because he was maybe struggling a wee bit fitness wise or injury. So he wasn't going to get another injury because he was immense today, I think. But as I say, I'm not sure. Stanger, I've not seen a lot of him, like a lot of us. So hopefully he'll be one for the future. But I think Jamie Hamilton had a half decent game today as well.
Absolutely, I think Jamie Hamilton was great today. Not obviously the greatest with his passing, but that can be said for pretty much everyone in the team.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of hard tackles in there for Jamie that he dealt with well. And like you said, I think by the looks of it, Brian Easton was just a bit too finished when he was coming off. Obviously, a lot of games recently. So hopefully he's fine from Motherwell. We do have to mention we did run our luck though at times. If St Johnstone had better finishing, it could have been 2 or 3. Even how do you see us going into Motherwell then? We know that there'll be a few players back, but the sounds of it, people like Callahan and Scott Martin will be back, so hopefully we'll have them in midfield. But we ran our luck at times today. It's a good point, but are you worried for Motherwell?
Yeah, I think I am. I think Motherwell are showing signs of better performances and better results. Although if you look at the table, they've been deducted the 6 points. Well, not deducted. They've been appealed. I think we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that. I mean, we could spend a good bit of time talking about that, but maybe not just now. But I think getting into Motherwell, it's always a local derby. I mean, remember last year we were going there and Moyle popped up with a winner. No, I don't think very many of us thought that was going to happen. We're kind of hoping that we're going to a bit more open in the way we play to give us a chance to score.
I'm kind of hoping that if we've got those midfielders back that I mentioned, Callahan and Martin, that we will maybe work with the midfield a little bit, because today that was a big issue. St Johnstone were all over us in the middle, and like me and Brandon said in the podcast, there was huge spaces between the defence and midfield.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we're not but we're fans, but we're not experts in football really. We've not got any qualifications, but there's no linking up between defence and midfield and the forwards. It's a lump over the midfield. Midfield gets missed out quite a lot. Second balls, I thought were better today than we have been in previous the previous few matches. But there's no any linking up. We've not got the players to actually link up, and get some play with 3 or 4 or 5 passes in a row. We just don't have that. So it's after the ball looked like a hot potato today. sometimes, and or a Christmas pudding, more like. They weren't. It was just the ball wasn't there all the time nearly. And as I say, if there was any football club today, it was St Johnstone. The guys put the body on the line today. There's a lot of blocks today.
I agree.
We had a wee bit of luck, but you need that sometimes. Does it bode well for Motherwell? I think it's a local derby, I suppose, but the fans won't be there.
No.
So it's really going to be just like a game without a crowd, like many games I've seen this year.
It is a weird one because, like you said, it is a Motherwell derby, and everyone always says, form goes out the window in a Motherwell derby. But I'm just looking at it here. Motherwell without a win in their last, 6, 7, 8 games.
You're teeing it up here, Ben. You're teeing it up.
Listen, I don't want to jinx anything, but without a win in their last 8 games, obviously they're above us in the table. I believe only by 2 points it is. So this is a huge game, as all derbies are. But in terms of this season, this could be the difference in us being in a playoff or being further up. Yeah.
Listen, I think we're all looking at the table in the first division, aren't we? But at the moment, the championship, I should call it. You're looking at Hearts probably will win that one, and then it's between Dunfermline, Dundee, and maybe another. And you're starting to gauge, well, what's our squad going to do against something like that in a playoff? Because fingers crossed we finish above Ross County. A long way to go, I suppose. But there's games like today and games like Motherwell and at the weekend that we have to take points from if we're going to get to 10th even. Today, a point is a point, and Perth isn't our greatest hunting ground at all. I think you would agree with that. Yeah. And I think we would have taken a point beforehand. How we get it is another story.
So at the end of the day, it is a point, a one that was most needed. Later on kickoffs are Hibs taking on Ross County, so obviously we need Hibs to win that. It just makes this weekend's game against Motherwell even bigger. The derbies are always big, but this one is huge. Motherwell, like I said, just sit ahead of us in the table. 2 points for win this would do overtake them. It was a weird one today, like we said. There was no midfield who really did bypass them, and whenever they did come in, they weren't great. Ben Sterling again was a passenger in this game, not for the first time, as pointed out online. So I'd have taken him off a lot earlier. I think starting with 7 defenders and playing 2 of them in the middle when we have like Charlie Trafford and Regan Mimnott on the bench, I think speaks volumes and how much Brian Rice trusts our defence to keep a clean sheet. I did say that I would rather have Mimnott on the team than Sterling in the middle. Keep Jamie Hamilton in the back, who I thought was great today. Not great with his passing, but like I said, it could be said for anybody in the team. For Motherwell, I would keep Jamie Hamilton in the team and I would drop Ben Sterling. Hopefully we'll have people like Ross Callahan, Scott Martin back in the team, so obviously they go straight into that midfield, and hopefully that means we won't bypass them as much, because I said on the live tweets, you may have seen it, that Nathan Thomas was constantly picking the ball up, head up, and there was either nobody ahead of him, David Moyle wasn't there, and there was nobody pressing up from the midfield for a pass to lay off, so he had to try and do everything himself. The game was screaming out for a Ross Callahan to drive from the midfield into the box, but obviously we didn't have it. Like I said, at the end of the day, it is a good point, but it is a lucky one, given they had 3 really good chances in the last 10-15 minutes that could have been 3 goals. Another person I thought was great today was Brian Easton. He came off late on for George Stanger. Hopefully that's just so that he's okay to go for Motherwell. It did say in the comms, that it looked as if he had a little niggle just after he had a poor touch and then cleared it for a corner, so hopefully it's just something small. A few tweets to read out for you as well just before we go. Kenny Brophy says, given the players we're missing, it is a good point. We were a bit lucky at times, but also don't look like scoring ourselves. Adolfin and Winters played great, but we need proper central midfielders playing in the middle. Couldn't agree more. Ross McCall, they should have buried their chances, but Thomas should have done better with his. Yep. Moyo won nothing in the air, and Tunde may be showing at the end why we haven't seen much of him. Would definitely take a point. So Tunde came on, and I said in the thing he was trying too hard. I said in the podcast, that's what we've seen as well. There was a chance today when he was running through and, he was putting pressure on the defence. He ended up breaking through the defence, but in the process fouled somebody. And I think if he had maybe just been a little bit gentler there, he would have got away with it and could have snatched a goal. M&D Red and White, who we know on Twitter, it says, great point. I only saw the last 10 and they could have scored 3. The finishing team was laughable. 7 defenders and 3 strikers. At least Thomas gave us some threat. The lucky imposter, Brian Rice, gets a point as the summary from me. Any other tweets, obviously, you want us to read out, go ahead and drop them down below. But you can see they kind of just, a lot of people saying it is a good point, but we are quite lucky to get there, and I couldn't agree more. But like I said, it does mean that this weekend's game against Motherwell, the derby, is huge. Hopefully you all watch it, and hopefully you all have your say on Twitter. And of course, if you want to have your say, you can jump on these videos. Just drop us a message, drop us a tweet, and we'll try our best to get you on. Thank you for all the love in the latest podcast. If you haven't seen it, it's on the channel. I will also leave a link in the description to view that as well. We hope you had a very Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year when it comes, and we'll see you all on Saturday for Motherwell. From yesterday, I feel like I'll never know.